Welcome back. The news in details. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi said on Monday that Egypt is keen on supporting Africa, a continent that is wealthy in capabilities. He was speaking at the inauguration of the Intra-Africa Trade Fair 2023. He welcomed the African heads of states and governments taking part in the event and inspected the venue of the fair. The theme of this year's event is Building Bridges for a Successful AFTA. The IATF 2023 is held under the auspices of Afrexim Bank, the African Union Commission and the Secretariat of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, and is to last until Wednesday. Heads of state, senior government officials and businessmen are attending the event, as well as continental and senior figures in various sectors. The Intra-African Trade Fair IATF 2023, in its third version, opened in Cairo on Monday. The event was attended by a number of African leaders and senior officials who addressed the participants. The Intra-African Trade Fair IATF 2023, in its third version, opened in Cairo on Monday. Minister of Trade and Industry Ahmed Samir addressed the event, saying it is an important venue for encouraging intra-African trade. In his speech, he reviewed means of boosting intra-African trade and cooperation between Egypt and the African countries. Former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo, who is the head of the Consultative Council of the IATF, also gave a speech. He said President al-Sisi offers great support for African causes. He said participants at the IATF seek to establish a market for intra-African trade. The Secretary-General of the African Free Trade Strategy, Wamikili Mini, gave a speech before the event. He expressed appreciation to Egypt for hosting the fair for the third time. He said Egypt was among the pioneer countries implementing intra-trade. African Union Economic Development Commissioner Ambassador Albert Muchanga addressed the IATF 2023. He said the event is being held at a time marred by instability. He praised Cairo's hosting of the event and said it provides information to push forward intra-trade in the continent. He said a number of deals will be signed during the IATF. President of Afrexim Bank, Benedict Orama, also gave a speech before the inaugural session of the IATF 2023. He said holding IATF 2023 is a proof of the seriousness to support African trade, and that holding it at such challenges mean the Egyptian economy is strong. He said the occupation had prevented Africa from industrializing raw materials, and Africa must embark on industrialization and activating intra-trade for the sake of development. Addressing the IATF 2023, Minister of International Cooperation Rania Mashad said Egypt is keen to increase the private sector's role in development. Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli asserted on Monday that one of the key factors for boosting the African trade movement is the quick implementation of infrastructure and linkage projects in the continent. The Prime Minister made these remarks as he received the Executive Director of the African Union's Development Agency. Madbouli noted that Egypt attaches a top priority to cooperating with the African Agency in the continental linkage projects, making the maximum benefit from the agreements signed between African nations and regional economic blocs. The meeting came on the sidelines of Egypt's hosting of the Intra-Africa Trade Fair. Foreign Minister Sameh Shukri on Monday stressed the inevitability of an immediate ceasefire to end the catastrophic humanitarian situation in Gaza. The minister made these remarks as he received a phone call from Germany's Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock, where they exchanged points of view and made an assessment on the necessity of reaching a ceasefire in the war-torn Strip, as well as securing the delivery of enough humanitarian aid to its residents. Egypt condemned on Monday the Israeli occupation forces' shelling of the headquarters of a Qatari committee for the reconstruction of Gaza. A foreign ministry statement said the move is an extension of the Israeli occupation flagrant violations of international laws, which provide for the protection of civilian lives and facilities. The statement added that Egypt deems the bombardment of a pivotal Arab building, which plays an important role in supporting efforts for the reconstruction of the war-torn Strip, as being contradictory to humanitarian values and principles that cannot be accepted under any false justifications. The ministry noted that Egypt expresses its full solidarity and absolute support for fellow Qatar against this aggression and renewed its call for international parties to take a serious, clear stance and shoulder their responsibility for putting an end to the Israeli occupation assaults on the Gaza Strip while branding such assaults with their true names and holding their perpetrators accountable for their deeds. The United Media Services Company held a press conference on Monday at the Egyptian side of the Rafah border crossing with the Gaza Strip to deliver a message of support to Palestinians in the enclave who are suffering a brutal Israeli aggression and a blockade. The company was joined with both the National Alliance for Civil Work and the Decent Life Association, two major Egyptian contributors of humanitarian and relief aid to the Strip. The speakers asserted that efforts will continue to increase the number of aid trucks entering the Palestinian territory and to provide all sorts of needed supplies, water, medical and foodstuffs. The Palestinian Red Crescent announced receiving 76 trucks of humanitarian aid from the Egyptian Red Crescent, including food, water, relief aid and medications, to raise the total number of received trucks since the 21st of October to 980 trucks. In the same context, Northern Sinai Governor Dr. Mohammed Abdel Fadil Shusha and the Turkish ambassador in Cairo witnessed the arrival of a Turkish aid ship at Al Arish Maritime Port. The ship contains 8 field hospitals equipped by operation rooms and intensive care units, in addition to 20 equipped ambulances, 15 power generators, medications and medical equipment needed for the field hospitals. Welcome back. Egypt's stock market indices collectively went up in the trading session on Monday after selective purchasing operations by local and foreign investment funds reached high rates and exceeded profit-making selling operations by individual investors and Arab investment funds. The benchmark EGX 30 index gained 0.19%. The EGX 70 index for small and medium businesses also jumped by 1.25%. And the broader EGX 100 index also rose by 0.87%. Meanwhile, the market capital for listed companies gained about 1 billion Egyptian pounds to close at 1 trillion and 614 billion amid deals and transactions of about 30.7 billion pounds.